Gonna wait for some more people to get in here, then we'll start talking. But today the RNC adopted President Trump's Agenda 47 as its official party platform today. So we'll lead off with that, and then we'll talk about the SAVE Act that Speaker Mike Johnson and Representative Chip Roy are going to push through Congress. We'll talk about that, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Maybe a conversation will start. So yeah, we'll lead off with the RNC adopting President Trump's platform as the official Republican Party platform. So essentially, Agenda 47 is now just the official party platform of the RNC that was voted on today, right ahead of the convention. And that's great news. For one, it dispels a lot of the Project 2025 rumors. Secondly, it makes it more accessible. And honestly, like, just go look at the Republican Party platform and Agenda 47, and there's nothing dumb about it. It's just common sense things that'll be great for America. Stuff like sealing our border, going to war against cartels, energy independence and energy dominance, peace through strength, all these things that are not controversial, and all these things that are great for America. I don't think anyone can deny that. It's important to have a secure border. It's important to be strong on the world stage. It's important to have a thriving economy. I don't think anyone denies that. So I think that's great news right ahead of the Republican convention. Just to get things laid out, more united. Trump's really starting to unite the GOP because the main goal is to defeat Joe Biden. So not a whole lot more we can ask for than that. That's the main goal. And then we'll get back on track. But yeah, so that's just the thing I wanted to lead off with. I think it's very good. Like I said, uniting the GOP, specifically when Trump, had Glenn Youngkin on stage in Virginia. I think that's a very significant moment there as far as uniting the GOP is concerned. Because Glenn Youngkin, he's sort of MAGA, but he's also has more establishment connections and ties. So just Trump is uniting the GOP and finally getting them to come around like he did in 2016 to the MAGA movement, saying, look, if you want to fight me on this and just be so obsessed with yourselves and so establishment-y, whatever you want to call it, then you're just going to have another 4 years of Joe Biden. So you're not really doing anything good for this country if that's what you're going to do. And I think that message is starting to resonate with a lot more people because no one wants another 4 years of Joe Biden. So just suck it up and vote for Trump. Forget about personality. It's about policy and who can deliver as president. And President Trump can do that. 100%. He did it. He already did it for 4 years. So, all right. We'll move on to the SAVE Act, which, if you don't know what that is, the SAVE Act is it's sponsored by Representative Chip Roy from Texas, and then Speaker Mike Johnson himself. And essentially, what that is it will make it where you have to prove that you are a citizen of the U.S. to vote in an election, a federal election. Crazy stuff, insane stuff right there, I know. It's just all these common sense things that liberals are against. But that's what it is, and it'll take non-citizens off of the voter rolls, and there will be even more penalties for those who do not go along with this. So it makes sure that if you're going to vote in a federal election, you need to prove you are a U.S. citizen. You have to prove that in some form or fashion. Because, illegals are getting Social Security cards, so in certain cases, so we need more than that. You need to prove you are a U.S. citizen. You can do it with a birth certificate, a photo ID, medical records, tax records, school records even. It's not hard to prove that you're a U.S. citizen. So you should have to be able to prove you're a U.S. citizen to vote in our federal elections, especially given the influx of illegals into this country under Joe Biden, thanks to his ridiculous and radical open border policies. So that will go on the floor this week, the floor of the House this week, and that will be voted on this week as well. If I had to guess, you'll probably have a few Democrats go along with it, so it'll pass the House easily, in my opinion. The Senate, I don't think it will pass because the Democrats will vote against it, and that'll tell you their real plans. There's no reason this bill shouldn't pass. You can make the argument that it's already illegal for them to vote. Well, it's already illegal for them to be here, and that didn't stop them clearly. So that's okay. Like, why not make sure that our elections are secured even further? You know what I'm saying? So I don't think there's any problem with. I'd rather our elections be too secure than not secure enough, if that makes sense. I think that's a understandable and rather common sense thing to say. You you want more of something rather than less of something, right? So especially when it comes to security. So I think that makes sense. Um, so next week is the Republican National Convention, and Trump has two rallies this week, and then there will be some fundraisers happening. So the vice president is expected to get announced here in the next week. And right now, I think the final three is Ben Carson, Vivek, and Doug Burgum. So those are your three. I'd be fine with any of them, really. More so Ben Carson and Vivek, especially Vivek. Doug Burgum would definitely be my number three out of those, but I wouldn't complain if it was Burgum either. But if I had to choose, it'd be Vivek, but I think it'll be Ben Carson. So just out of the three, there you have it. So yeah, that should come out in the next week or so. Make of that what you will. But Trump has a rally tomorrow, so if you're in Florida, make sure, and if you're able to, go to Trump's rally in Florida tomorrow in Doral, which is essentially Miami. So make sure to go check that out. And then if you're in Pennsylvania or surrounding states, in Butler, Pennsylvania, which I believe is the Pittsburgh area, Trump has a rally on Saturday at I think 5 p.m. Eastern. Trump will start to speak, so you're gonna have to get there early. But in Pennsylvania, Butler, Pennsylvania, Trump will be there on Saturday. So make sure if you're in that area, go attend, go show support for Trump, go register voters, everything. Sign up at TrumpForce47.com to volunteer for the campaign. Do all these things we can do to help ensure that we don't get another 4 years of Joe Biden and Trump is back in the White House. Just the amount of damage that Joe Biden has done to this country is insane, and it's sad, honestly, to see. So I don't think, why would anyone want to sit this election out when there's so much at stake? Because you're kidding yourself if you think Joe Biden will make it a full 4 years in office. That's just not going to happen at all. It will be Kamala Harris 100% if Joe Biden is reelected. You're not voting for Joe Biden, you're voting for Kamala Harris because Joe Biden will not make it through a full 4 years as president. Again, he will not. I'm honestly shocked that he's made it this far. Honestly, I feel bad for him. But but it is rather ironic and it's rather hypocritical that the Democrats are basically going to vote for a man who will not complete his second term, but they're the ones that always like to talk about democracy. I don't think that's very democratic at all. If your man's just going to bow out right after he gets back into office, I don't think that's very democratic at all. So, just constant hypocrisy from the left on all fronts, all the time. Constant. But I mean, I think regardless of who, let's say Joe doesn't make it, I think regardless of who the Democrats put up, whether that's Kamala, whether that's Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, Michelle Obama, even, I think out of any of those options, I think President Trump wins handedly. I mean, knock on wood, of course. And I also think that Trump will win against Joe Biden, knock on wood. Because, I mean, just right now, take polling for a grain of salt. Ignore the polls, honestly. Still fight like we're 40 points down. But, I mean, just based off electorally how things are shaping up, President Trump is definitely in the advantage right now in comparative to Joe Biden. Biden has a lot more states he needs to make up ground in. His policies and himself are a lot less popular in places like Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, specifically the border states as well, for obvious reasons. But Pennsylvania because of energy, but all these things that Joe Biden, he has to make up ground, and of course his wife's campaigning for him. Really, his wife is probably actually president, not him. So it's on. His wife is definitely the one pushing him to do all these things and stay in the race. You see him after the debate. Joe Biden talked to Joe like he was a child. Like, Joe, you did such a good job. Here's a sucker. It's honestly, it's sad to see. Because I think we all know Joe Biden needs some help. He needs to be put in a home. He's not there completely. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. And if you are, you're lying to yourself. Joe Biden is not there 100%, not at all. And I feel bad for him because he needs some help, but his wife won't let him. I mean, his wife will not let him at all. His wife wants him to keep running that race. Y'all, I don't know if y'all saw Joe Biden, calling to MSNBC this morning, but well, for one, he had to call in. He couldn't even like be present on the screen, and I mean, it's just very telling because he sounded insane. Not policy wise, he just sounded like an insane dude on drugs or something. You couldn't understand him half the time. All these things. I have no idea how in the world this man got 81 million votes. Of course. It's very sad to see. The leader of the free world, as they say, is a demented old man. A demented old man who can't walk, who can't talk, and has to be basically carried by his wife everywhere that he goes. It's very sad to see. That's the leader of the country right now. So make of that what you will. Just remember that in November, that you can have someone who's strong like President Trump, who stood up to our enemies, or you can have Joe Biden, who not only caved to our enemies, but is also, for one, not present, two, can't talk, three, can't walk, and four, has his wife basically running things. So just remember that when you get to November. But I am curious, like, who's actually running the show, because I mean, just whoever it is, I mean, it's still the same crap. It's still open borders. It's still inflation. It's still wars everywhere. I mean, all of this policy is still there, regardless of who it is. Regardless of if it's Joe or not, all that policy is still there. So whoever implemented it, they're just as bad, if not worse. Can y'all imagine Kamala on the world stage? Seriously. What is she gonna do? Laugh at Putin or laugh at Xi? Is that what she's gonna do? I mean, honestly, they might leave the room because they're scared of her laughing. She sounds evil when she laughs, but I mean, are they really going to be threatened as far as making movements? You know, militarily, I don't think so. I think Kamala. We all know she was a DEI hire. I don't think there's any doubt in that. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. But can y'all imagine Kamala on the world stage? That'd be an embarrassment beyond belief. Oh, I don't even want to think about that. That's awful to think about. But what has she been put in charge of? The border and AI. AI is a jungle that I don't think will ever be tamed. Um, so especially putting her in charge of that was a terrible mistake. And then and the border is a disaster. So just remember that Joe will not make it 4 years. It will be Kamala if he wins. And she is a disaster. And with that, I'm going to end it here. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.